and so on. Then came synthesis, a product of a unique communication. Last one was evaluation. A lot of studies indicated synthesis and evaluation can be combined. Therefore, the next revision came. Next one, please. That was lowest order they called. Instead of knowledge, remembering. A lot of things we need to remember. Part of long-term memory. The verb I used yesterday were recall, recognize, recall historic important aspects of French Revolution, recall principles of macroeconomic theories, and so on. Second one is what we call understanding. I discussed it yesterday. Understanding, they meant interpret. The schema I had given yesterday had it. Exemplify. A little more examples. Classify, we did that yesterday. Summarize. Summarize reading a text and can we summarize it? Then infer, as we did yesterday. Compare, we discussed yesterday again. Explain aspects. Words like this form what we call understanding. Third is applying. Carrying out or using a procedure in a given situation. Executing a project using knowledge and understanding developed earlier. Implementation design of a project, applying what we had learned earlier. This is what we call applying. Then in the new scenario, next one, please. After applying what repeated doesn't matter, after doing that is analysis. Breaking materials into different parts. Quite often I am asked to analyze why certain universities in the world do very well, why others are not. I took 3 points of analysis, like the age of university, then financing of university, second, then the number, size of university. And I found most of the world's top universities were established in the 19th century. In India, we had only 6 universities in the 19th century. Most universities came up post-1975. Then top 20 universities in the world, they are all over 100 years. They all have more than 10,000 students. That means size matters. That's the reason I'm sometimes pushing AUD to reach that figure as quickly as possible. A student community of 10,000 to begin with. Then third, finance. Top 20 universities in the world spent on an average $160,000 per capita expenditure per student. 160,000. And India, it varies from 5,000 to 15,000. If we adjust for purchasing power parity, it reaches about $22,000. Maybe the Indian Institute of Science, Bengaluru, may reach that. I don't know whether any study has been done about AUD, but my guesstimate would be we are spending maybe around $12,000, $13,000 per student a year, and not 25. And look at 160,000 big universities, and we are spending maximum $25,000. Look at the difference. So money matters. In globally, top 20 universities spend $500,000 per faculty. In India, we spend 1/10 of that, 50,000. So how do we expect faculty excellence? So the analysis done by me showed that this is what we might showing analysis. Next, evaluating. What for we evaluate? Making judgment and decisions. Like AUD did, twice review, internal review with external people, and we made certain judgments based on that. How do we expand the university? How do we expand with the consolidation? What could be the new schools? Like one thing came this year was Master of Public Health. Maybe you may think of public policy. These are all based on evaluation. More important, creating. To reach this, we need to create new schools, new centers, new programs. The next 10 years, how do we go about it? Research is a creation. Original thinking. Preparing a plan, the institutional development plan is creating. Producing, that we want to produce a new kind of student. So this is what the new taxonomy of Benjamin Bloom indicates. That at the lowest level, we need to make students remember short-term and long-term memory-oriented thing, important, through recognition and recall. Second, understanding. As I indicated yesterday, that seeing relationship, citing examples, discriminating, classifying, interpreting, generalizing, they're all part of understanding. Application, using what we learned, can you solve a problem? Analysis, do a study, like for instance, the latest study on COVID in Russia, they did analysis of patients and they found the root cause of COVID, the impact is on breathing. And why the breathing problem? They found it was due to blood clotting. Therefore, we must thin the blood. Using that analysis, they gave aspirin to patient to thin the blood. And they claimed 14,000 patients got cured without being in the intensive care unit or without having ventilator and so on. The analysis indicated it was based on blood clotting, thickening of blood in the veins. Using aspirin, anticoagulant, they saved 14,000 lives. So this is the analysis and creating new medicine. Like my own daughter-in-law is a biotechnologist. She designed an RT-PCR test which gives result in 20 minutes, not 2 days. 20 minutes, you can test by yourself at home, creating a new product. Now they got listed in New York Stock Exchange. So creating a new product, creating a new process, creating a new enterprise, they are all part of creating. And the Honorable Minister of Education, Delhi, keeps saying, entrepreneurial skills, entrepreneurial mindset. How do you do it? These are all part of creating. So again, we have 6 aspects. We moved from knowledge to comprehension, to application, to analysis, to synthesis, to evaluation. to this new format, evaluation and synthesis combined together, a new term, creation, came. That the job of our students is to create new process, new product, new enterprise, self-employment abilities. So this is a kind of taxonomy in a hierarchical order. Remembering is the simplest. That is the base. That is knowledge. Knowledge is the base for understanding, base for application, base for analysis, base for evaluation, base for creation. Now, next one. Let me take this a little further. Now, moment we say knowledge, there are a variety of knowledge aspects. One we call factual knowledge. Factual. When did India get independence? Who was first Prime Minister of India? And so on. Factual information, historical. What period, ancient history level, what happened? Factual. Then comes what we call conceptual knowledge, second level. Yesterday, I talked about Rocky. I was trying to teach you the concept of Rocky, and you learned that yesterday. That is conceptual knowledge. What you call a triangle, conceptual knowledge. What is a rectangle? A conceptual knowledge. What is the difference between the two? Conceptual knowledge. Next one, please. The third element is procedural knowledge. I explained yesterday. To become a professional in a field, if you want to be a civil engineer, we should have knowledge about how to construct a bridge, how to construct a house, how to draw that on a paper. This is procedural knowledge. That alone is not enough. We must have skills to read. The next knowledge level is metacognitive knowledge. Knowledge of cognition, higher order thinking, like critical thinking, creative thinking, problem solving, and so on. Next one, please. Now, how do you translate this into learning outcomes? Based on Bloom's taxonomy, David Rothwell's the analysis, and changes by Robert Ganey, all those people. First year students, if you want to see learning outcomes, I give an example. At the end of first year of undergraduate program, if somebody wants to leave, that student should be able to demonstrate the acquisition of knowledge of facts, concepts, principles, theories, and variety of practices and processes. All, the last word I used, field of learning. All that you have to insert is the field of learning. That I will change in a multidisciplinary context within the field of learning, such as economics, history, developmental studies, human studies, human ecology, social entrepreneurship, master of business administration. Just change that, you get the learning outcome. That acquisition of knowledge of facts. Second, understanding of the linkages. Understanding means it can be seeing relationship. At a high order, it can be generalization. With the linkage between the learning areas. If you are a student of psychology, linkage between developmental psychology, social psychology, industrial psychology, organizational psychology, and so on. Just add that subject, you get a learning outcome. Like physics, relation between sound, mechanics, electricity, and so on. Economics, macroeconomics, microeconomics, econometrics, game theory, and so on. Just add that, you get a learning outcome. Same thing is true. Procedural knowledge required in the chosen field of learning. Do you want to be an economist? Do you want to be a clinical psychologist? Do you want to be a physicist? Do you want to be a historian? Do you want to be a musicologist? Do you want to be a theater artist? Add that, you get the outcome. You can make it more specific when you go later on that. So, in the first year of undergraduate program, we expect our students to demonstrate these learning outcomes. Next one, please. Let us see what happens second year. Look at the second year learning outcomes are hierarchically more complex. This is not just facts and knowledge of facts. Now we want theoretical and technical knowledge in broad, multidisciplinary context within, again, within the field of economics, within the field of gender studies, within the field of education studies. Just add that, you get a learning outcome. So that's the kind of thing. Next one, again, higher, deeper knowledge. Second year, we must have not superficial knowledge, deeper knowledge required for doing something, deeper knowledge and understanding. That means higher level of understanding, generalization, and so on. Third, again, procedural knowledge required. This time look at performing skilled or para-professional task. If a person leads, should be a skilled person. Para-professional can take up something in medical care, something in apparel making, something in hospitality management, something in econometrics, something related to survey, large-scale survey. They are all procedural knowledge. Next one, please. Third year, you'll find it increases further. Look at comprehensive, factual, theoretical, and specialized knowledge. Specialized important, higher level. Specialization, more specialized in microeconomics, more specialized in developmental economics, more specialized in ancient history, more specialized in algebra, more specialized in public health. That comes third year because you are going to graduate. Then knowledge of the current and emerging issues. What are the new developments in economics? In any field of study, what I am providing you is a generic learning outcomes, which I have used for the draft National Higher Education Qualification Framework. Then look at last one. Procedural knowledge, higher level. Accomplishing professional task. To be a teacher, to be an assistant professor, and so on. More profession-oriented and not just para-professional. So you see that there is a continuum. Let me go one more. Fourth year of undergrad program. Advanced knowledge, not just theoretical, advanced knowledge in a frontier of knowledge. Higher level, fourth year, those who go. And second, coherent understanding of the established methods and techniques of research. Because fourth year, it is going to be BA, BSc research, honors with research. That is a learning outcome. Next, Knowledge of the, again, accomplishing professional task again, associated with the chosen fields of learning such as economics, history, education, and so on. Look at, now we get learning outcomes related to knowledge and understanding in a hierarchical form. Its complexity increases from first year of BSc to second year BA to third year BA to fourth year. Yesterday, somebody asked me a question outside. Will all students who complete 3-year program will go to fourth year? The answer was no. We are fixing a CGPA benchmark of 7.5. Only those who get 7.5 and more in a 3-year program will be given admission to the fourth year. So fourth year, you can see the competence required is very high. And therefore, we made a cutoff point, 7.5 CGPA. Others may. Those who finish 4 years, they get advantage. They need to have only 1-year master's program. And that is the advantage of 7.5 CGPA. And those who don't, they go 2-year master's program. And that is the disadvantage of not getting 7.5 and going to fourth year. So this is a kind of learning outcomes. Let me now go to the next level, what you call, next one, please. Again, I'm going by year. What you're talking is skills required to perform an accomplished task. What are the learning outcome descriptors? Demonstrate the acquisition of, not just know, understand, demonstrate the acquisition of a range of cognitive and technical skills. For what? To perform and accomplish a task. First year of degree program. Second year, cognitive skills. Not just doing by hands, to identify, analyze, and synthesize information from a range of sources. Third, cognitive and technical skills required for selecting and using relevant methods, tools, and materials to assess the appropriateness of approaches to solving problems. These to be done during first year. Next, second year, what kind of skill you expect? Cognitive and technical skills required for performing and accomplishing a complex task. Like example I gave yesterday, a complex task, not simple task. Again, skills required to analyze and synthesize ideas and generate solutions to specific problems associated with the area of learning, such as education, health, whatever it may be. So you change that last part, you get a learning outcome for the discipline you're working on. Then these things have been defined. I can share that later. What do you mean by cognitive skill? What do you mean by technical skills? What do you mean by comprehensive skill? And so on. There is definition of that, and that can be done. Second year, let's look at third year. You can jump it. At the end of third year, what? Skills required for performing and accomplishing complex tasks. One, skills required to evaluate and analyze complex ideas. Is this theory correct? How do we do it? Next, skills required to generate solutions, creating to specific problems associated with the chosen field of learning. Again, a learning outcome. Fourth year, higher order. Next one, please. The fourth year, look at that. A range of cognitive and technical skills, not just one or two, range of. Again, accomplishing complex tasks, not simple tasks. That is a hierarchy at the fourth level. Then, relating to established research methods and techniques. Should I use analysis of variance? Analysis of covariance? How do I parcel out impact of one variable and get thing? Those research methods and approaches. Then again, skill required to undertake research and investigations. Again, for what? To generate solutions to real life problems. Like there are engineering colleges in Maharashtra trying to do this. The projects of students in the college, they had to survey a range of 50-kilometer radius, find out what are the problems they face, drainage problem, health problem, mosquito problem, malaria problem. Then students are asked to design a new innovation to solve that problem. That is new creation. That is the aim here. Then independently solving it. I think somebody asked the question, accountability for the output and initiative. I think Dr. Amol should ask me a question. What is the difference between input and output? In the field of education now, what we do is, we are going by what we call a results-based planning. In a results-based planning, we have certain inputs. Like input for organizing this program is the LCD, online devices we have. Then there is an activity, a process, that is the online learning. Then what happens later? As a result of this, you will be able to write a learning outcome descriptor. That is an output of it. Then, because of your improved learning outcome description and teaching, the academic performance of students go up. That is the outcome. And then, all these put together, you make impact in the life of a student, impact. So when you talk about learning outcomes, in addition to talking about remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating, we also look at what changes have been made in the life of a student who passed out AUD. Has there been social mobility? Have they attained a skilled job or a routine job, unskilled job? This is what we call impact. So, series of things from inputs to activity, to output, to outcome, to impact. The AUD will be judged by ultimately 10 years' time, what impact it had on our students. Have they entered skilled jobs? If they are trained for economics, have they entered as economists? They are trained physicists. Have they entered as a scientist? if they had taken education, have they entered an NGO or have they entered university as an assistant professor, skilled job? That will be the outcome of the university, outcome and impact. So I'm trying to answer Amol's question based on that. Then a good question was asked. Should students be involved in formulating this? The answer is yes. Quite often students create, can they follow what we wrote? A field tryout, then modify it. So the learning outcome descriptors you and I specify will be assessed by our own students to examine its communicability. Does it communicate? Examine its relevance, appropriateness, and that exercise will be done by all of us when we move from this to the program learning outcome area. Like, again, an example, my grandson, who is 12 years old in America, he decided to go to face-to-face classes. Some of his friends are in India, they could not return to America. They are going through online. When the test was on, he raised a question with his teacher. Madam, are we doing the right thing? That those who attend classes, don't you think they are getting better facility to answer questions? What about my friends in India who could not return online? Are you not giving special advantage to those who have face-to-face and disadvantage for online? Surprisingly, the teacher took it so well. The principal took it so well. He said, coming from a 12-year-old boy. Then what decision they took? Whether you are face-to-face, in person, or online, all testing will be online. You upload online to create what we call equity in learning opportunities. So that hybrid mode, online plus in person, doesn't give any advantage or disadvantage to the child. Look at, if my grandson did not tell that equity would not have come. And again, the teacher wrote a very nice email to me telling that amazing that your grandchild could think of, and we did not say anything. On his own, he thought his friends are losing. Again, a question of empathy, that my friends who are in India should not lose. How it works out. So this is what is required. And therefore, when you generate solutions, learning outcomes, consultation with the students, very important. And you can even call alumni and say, does this communicate well? Those who finished first year, when they are in second year, give the learning outcomes of first year to them. Those who are in second year, give these learning outcomes when they are third year. When they are fourth year, give this. Therefore, there is an element of consultation with the students. I think Amol's point is very valid. Amol, thank you for asking this question. That both are good.
There are some more questions on the chat. Should we take them towards the end? Yes, sir.
We can take 2, 3 now, and then we can proceed further.
Sir, there is a question from Dr. Vinod. How does LOCF be useful in teaching core assumptions of disciplinary knowledge of social sciences in language, literature, history, sociology, and psychology?
Very good. What we'll be doing now is a 4-year undergrad program, multidisciplinary. What would happen? Psychology may be major, Minor would be a vocational program, 18 credits. How many credits we need in psychology to go to master's undergrad program? I think UGC says you need only 24 credits to join a master's program. So we may say, as a guy and others would say, 30 credits psychology. Yeah. 16 credits vocation. So 46 credits, 16 credits music. That structure we have to build in 4-year program. How many credits we allocate to the major? Somebody might say we need 40 credits. Minor, a psychology student may ought to taking a program on sociology. 18 credits, 16 credits, maybe performing art or visual art as a painter, School of Design here, maybe 16 credits. Don't make it too small, 4-credit program. That will not help attain skills. It must be skill oriented. What part of psychology should be clinical practice? How many credits? Internship, maximum 6 credits, and so on. So once you do that, you get a feel of that. So LOCF helps you to state what would be learning outcomes related to psychology major disciplinary area, what amount that will be related to minor, could be musicologist, could be vocational program, learning outcomes related to that. So all the programs we support should have a learning outcomes framework. Professor Guy, please.
Always had this concern of, I mean, I've read Bloom almost long time back, I suppose. But how do we, consider students with disabilities? And some of them, for example, the sign language might be important as part of the, 3-year or 4-year. So according to me, I mean, is it possible that we can have, maybe 2 credits or 4 credits to actually also teach sign language in the course credits for the UG especially? And how to, I mean, would you look at theory critically when it actually doesn't take, people with disabilities, students with disabilities in particular?
Thank you for raising this question. I was once in the University of California, Berkeley. I entered the chemistry laboratory. I found 2 students with disabilities. And I asked the question to the professor, do you give any special advantage to these people? He said, no. They will do the same thing done by others. But I facilitate that. I give assistive devices to these 2 students. Appropriate assistive devices using which they can perform it very well. So equal opportunity, but assistive devices equitable. And through that we can. So therefore, in the education program, for instance, or in PhD program of Ambedkar University, the policy states all will have a 8-credit program on pedagogy. One aspect of that is inclusive education. All should have it, not just optional, it's not optional. We are making this compulsory now at the school level also. All should undergo sign language. That's why we are proposing sign language relevant to India, a 2-credit program. You really want to be dealing with that. Fair enough. That is the flexibility the policy provides. So 2 credits means how many hours of learn engaged time? 15 plus 30, 45 into 2, 90 hours of learning get time. Get on a course on sign language. That's how do we do it? That is what the policy envisages. Every person who wants to be an assistant professor, as part of the 8 credit pedagogical orientation, we need to make study of all that will be learning outcome, that will be able to design learning experiences for students with disabilities. That will be learning outcome for MA education or MA education or 8 credit program we are offering. Very good question, absolutely right. So, any other points, sir?
Yes, sir, one more.
Yeah.
Okay, this question is from Dr. Vinod. How does LOCF enable formative assessment, research, innovation, and extension? Can faculty network curriculum along with teaching full load of teaching without retreat for thinking, planning? What is the time imagined for higher cadre thinking skills and field-based experiences translate into credits and number of hours taught, assessment, and field-based practicum?
Last question first. Assessment. As I indicated yesterday, 3 kinds use of assessment. Assessment as learning, assessment of learning, assessment for learning. The question raised, Dr. Vinod, is assessment for learning, formative assessment. That is one of the reasons we are educating. No university goes beyond 20 credits per semester. And the teaching load also to be adjusted accordingly. Field-based learning, maximum credit for that, Dr. Vinod, would be 6 credits. Internship, maximum credit, 6 credits. Then, what you talk, the other areas like community engagement and service, a maximum of 6 credits. You may think of 4 credits as well. The LOCF should indicate exactly this. How many credits would be used for field-based learning? 4 to 6 credits. Like for instance, AUD's development practice had 50% field-based studies once. But anyone used to do it. That flexibility was given. Developmental studies came, say 20%, 25%. History, can we make it 20%? Field-based learning. Take them to Jawaharlal Nehru Memorial Library, an analysis done. That is also a field-based study, not inside the classroom. Economics, look at what happens to our budget proposals. Study that. Again, analysis, community engagement. Can we work with the community and see how best you can do it? So you may offer 4 to 6 credits for these areas. Internship, a maximum of 6. Community engagement service, a maximum of 6. Then field-based studies also. This is one. So LOCF should take into all. I think you raised the teaching load. I think by reducing the credit framework, we can attempt, I personally am against assistant professors are asked to teach 16 credits or 16 hours a week. Associate 12, professor 8. Why am I don't supporting that? An assistant professor, new person, needs more time for preparation. Spend time in library. So I would have said they need less teaching hours and more time to prepare. Whereas a person like me, quite often, may not need too much preparation. So why didn't I teach more? This also is being looked at. That this prescription by UGC, can we have a look at it and see how we can do it? So that not only the student, that every credit they earn, you get 2 hours of preparatory time, also for teachers, also for faculty. And can we have, there is an attempt being done by the Inter-University Center for Teacher Education, Varanasi, a project is taken to prepare what we call professional standards for faculty in universities. Professional standards. What kind of core values and ethics a assistant professor should have? Associate professor. Second, what kind of professional knowledge they need against standard setup at different levels, early faculty, proficient faculty, maybe after 5 years experience, accomplished faculty or expert faculty, master faculty. Don't train them together. Train them separately. I do this in Delhi University. Sometimes we organize programs only for assistant professors. Sometimes we organize programs only for those who had 10-year plus experience. The proficiency required is different. So LOCF can look into this and also link that with the faculty engaged time available. And that has to be looked at. Don't go too low. A publicly funded university like AUD certainly will demand certain amount of teaching load. Can't be too much different. That benchmark, through discussion, we can look at it. And that's the reason we suggested not more than 18 credits per semester and maximum 20. There's a feeling the courses rigor become better if you have more credit. Not true. We must give for 1 credit of taught time, 2 hours for spending in library, spending in both for teacher and student. That is coming up. And the learning outcome-based curriculum framework, the implementation section would indicate this. What is the minimum learner engaged time to be spent? Say around 1,500 to 1,800 hours. That's a global scenario. A minimum of 1,500 learner engaged hours and 1,800. The LOCF implementation will indicate that. In fact, the LOCF currently in vogue are being revised again. I happen to be in the committee while drafting that, and I myself know one deficiency. I used more of science examples. I want a balance between different disciplinary areas. Science, social science, the arts, and so on, the vocational program, and so on. So it is possible that you are right. An optimal faculty engaged time, an optimal student engaged time can be worked out through the learning outcome-based curriculum framework. I think that is what we should do in AUD. You know, after this, I was told by one department that they would like to have some help in designing the program learning outcome. When we design that, we will say how it can be implemented, a section. How many hours of faculty engaged time? How many hours of learner engaged time? Thank you for raising this question, very important. So next level is designing program learning outcome. So you may go further. Next level, next, again, hierarchical first year. May I have the next slide, please? Yeah, look. Look at application. At the first year level, we are talking, applying the acquired operational or technical or theoretical knowledge. Let's say you teach Ohm's law to a student. What does that show? Parallel connections and non-parallel connections. These should be applied at home in electrical appliances. At a higher level, a student of game theory, can this be applied to predict the economic development of our country? A small part of it. So that is why I say practical skills and use basic methods. You're not talking very high level methods in first year. Tools, materials, and information to generate solutions. Whenever we apply, that is the purpose. First year, simple. Second year, have a look at it. Next one, please. In second year, look, a little more theoretical knowledge, range of cognitive and practical skills to gather quantitative and qualitative data, information collected slightly higher than the first year. And then, of course, again, apply basic methods, tools to generate solutions. Second year of undergrad program. Next, please, third year, see the progression. In third year, we look at again, applying specialized knowledge, not basic knowledge, specialized knowledge related to econometrics, specialized knowledge related to history, specialized knowledge related to psychological aspects, developmental psychology. Then we design learning experience based on that. That is the one. The next one, apply the right approach to generate solutions. And you can change the last part. Chosen field of learning can be replaced by related to the field of psychology, the field of economics, the field of macroeconomics, the field of rural sociology, and so on. So that is how it looks at application of knowledge and skills. Next one, please. Same, fourth year, level increases. Look at last one, apply advanced knowledge, not just basic knowledge. Advanced knowledge to generate solutions, create. And that becomes an important aspect. I may take 2, 3 more. Next one, please. Is communication skills. It's a generic learning outcome. This is not taught separately. Sometimes AUD organized program on what we call expository communication, academic communication, good, a 2 credit program. Now, most important for our students, quite often we don't think about it. Listen carefully. Read text related to psychology. Study it analytically. Is the theory mentioned there useful? That is a kind of thing. The first year you're talking. Second, very important, listen and then read text. Listening and reading, very important. Quite often we don't talk about it. then express thoughts and ideas effectively in writing and orally. To present results, findings of the experiments we carry out, findings in the psychology lab on attention and so on, experimental psychology. How do you do it? In a first year of psychology, we may do. Next year, second year, look at changes. Listening and reading test continue, but complex paper, not simple paper. What you read is a little more complex. Then communicating writing, results of experiments and studies conducted accurately and effectively. Very important to specialized and non-specialist audience. That is not there in the first year. Second year, higher level, then we do this communication. Third year, complexity improves further. Look at last one, make coherent arguments to support the findings, results of the study undertaken. Again, communicate that to specialist and non-specialist audience, higher than the second year. Last fourth year, look at last one again, present in a concise manner one's views on applications of findings of research and evaluation in the context of emerging issues, not only the current. Climate change, how will that affect health of people? Would it have public health, reduced mortality rate, reduced health quality? Look at higher level, more research-based, evidence-based. So the learning outcomes in relation to communication should be specified in this form, in an increasing order of difficulty, complexity, and so on. Now I may say, you might have seen the curricula in the United States, syllabi. If you look at any four-year program, they number the courses. Psychology, say, for instance, developmental psychology, what is taught in first year, second year, third year, fourth year. When you go to fourth year, we may enter more neuroscience-based findings, how students learn. At the age of 6, a child's brain develops up to 80%. That kind of analysis. And then the level changes. First year, in the US, what is a 100 level course. Second year, 200 level course, higher standard. Third year, 300 level course. Fourth year, 400 level course. Then when you want to graduate, you will say 120 credits, out of which at least 24 credits at level 400. You are specifying the difficulty level. Can AUD make an effort on that? Courses are graded, maybe even by number. That I have undergone 400 level courses before I passed out my psychology program, economics program. The level is higher, more complex problems, and so on. In a learning outcome-based framework, that is a thing. We also grade the course. The 24, 30 hours we spend on major, or the 16 to 18 credits we may spend on the minor. How do we do it? Be it music, be it vocational program, and so on. So that is the kind of thing we are talking about. So, first year competence of communication is different from second year, third year, fourth year. May I try one more thing, something more different? Learning how to learn. Every student should have this, learning how to learn. Look at first year also, a student should be able to meet his or her own learning needs relating to the chosen field of learning like psychology, history, physics, chemistry, BBA, and so on. That is self-learning, self-directed learning. Can we spend some time with students? Say, these are assignments. We give turn papers. We have tutorials. Can that be made a little more learning outcomes based? And that is the first year. Second year, more. Next one, please. Second year, a little more thing. Look at pursue, second way I'm talking, self-paced and self-directed learning to upgrade knowledge and skills required for pursuing higher levels of education and training. If they want to go third year, what they should do. The third year, again, you can see, look at the statement difference. Upgrade knowledge and skills that will help adapt to changing demands of workplace and pursue higher level of education and training. Fourth year goes higher. Can see upgrade knowledge and skills that will help accomplish complex tasks, not simple tasks, and to pursue both higher levels of education and research. Fourth year, that is, they must be able to pursue research. Now, these are learning how to learn skills. Learning outcomes will indicate that. And what for this? As Bloom's taxonomy says, to create, to evaluate, to make judgment and decision making and so on. I may go a little faster, move a little more. Next one, I take two more. Critical thinking. Look at, can you take first and second year? The previous slide, yeah. No, I think first is not there, I think. All right, doesn't matter. Yeah, this is first year, thank you. The slide got mismatched. Look at, gather and interpret relevant qualitative and quantitative data to identify problems. Critical thinking at the first year. Second year, evaluate the essential theories, policies, practices by following a scientific approach to knowledge development. Basically, what you mean by is, I'll now say, I didn't say this yesterday. When you say apply, the first thing, like, I get example of COVID-19 case. The Russian scientist made a statement. Is there a relationship between blood clotting and breathing problem? They said, maybe there is a problem. Why this takes place? You are making what you call reasoning. Reason, first level of application comes in. Second, what you and I do, we will formulate an assumption or a hypothesis. Maybe due to blood thickening, not sure. Then what we do, it is a hypothesis, we test the hypothesis through experimentation, studies of patients. Then, after testing, you and I try to establish hypothesis. That was, yes, it has something to do with blood thickening. Then we make an inference that could be this is the reason And lastly, you and I can predict that if a person has blood thickening, not using blood thinners, the possibility of getting COVID and then breathing problem may be higher. These are all application based on this. So the 5 levels of application I'm not giving: reasoning, formulating a hypothesis, testing a hypothesis, establishing a hypothesis, then making inference based on findings, and lastly, prediction, cause and effect relationship. If there is a depression from Arabian Sea moving towards Mumbai or Gujarat, there will be heavy rain. Prediction. If this happens, this will happen. That is a learning outcome. So the Bloom's application level, these take place. May I now go to next slide, 3rd year. Look at again. Critically evaluate evidence for taking actions to generate solutions based on empirical evidence. That means you and I have to conduct a study to gather empirical evidence. 3rd year, higher. 4th year, a keen sense of observation, inquiry, capability for asking relevant questions, very important. We don't ask quite often relevant questions. 4th year, the student must have it if you are a critical thinker. Then problematize, synthesize, and articulate issues and design research proposal. Research proposal, how do we do it? Look at the critical thinking process goes higher. So that is the learning outcome based. Let me take something on values. Next. We can go up. Change. Next. Look at this. Judgment and decision making. That is based on evaluation I made. 1st year, based on analysis of data and evidence. Simple. The learning outcome level is simple. 2nd, based on analysis and evaluation of information. 2nd year, higher. Look at the last sentence. Taking responsibility for the nature and quality of outputs. If I do something, I take responsibility. A 2nd year student can do that. Next, 3rd year, higher. Exercise judgment across a broad range of functions. Again, based on empirical evidence. So the learning outcome is higher level. 4th year, when we move to 4th year, look at again here. Advanced evidence from range of sources to generate complex problems. Complex problems, not simple problems. Higher level, 4th year becomes, and take responsibility and accountability for findings, outputs, and so on. Now, what I'm trying to say is the learning outcome-based framework is arranged in terms of hierarchy of difficulty range. What we expect 1st year, 2nd year, 3rd year, 4th year, they are not the same. There is an increase in difficulty level. So when we do the program learning outcome, using this as a template, we'll try to generate in relation to each subject area, each course later, and that will help us apportionment of credits, year engaged time, and so on. Next one, let me take one value-oriented thing, just an example. This one, look at constitutional, humanistic, ethical, and moral values. First year, practice these values. First year, put forward convincing arguments to respond to ethical and moral values, moral issues. First year, that much. Second year, higher level, that not only embracing the constitutional, humanistic, ethical, and moral values, practice these values in life. Practice these values in life. Take a position regarding these values. Many issues in what is in the newspaper. Take a position. Is it according to constitutional values or not? Then formulate arguments to support actions. That your value orientation to climate change, something is happening. What position should we take? Third year, higher, that you can see again, all of us should embrace the values, identify ethical issues related to a function, a field of study. Privacy matters in relation to information, an ethical issue. Can you provide coherent arguments about ethical and moral issues, including environmental and sustainable development issues from multiple perspectives? Environmental issues in terms of climate change, environmental issues in terms of biodiversity, environmental issues in terms of degradation of forest. Why Bhutan says 60% of land should be forest covered? Because if it is reduced beyond that, there will be landslides. Country will not exist. What happens in Uttarakhand and Himachal now in India? The argument for that, very important. Practice ethical practices. No plagiarization, no misrepresentation of data. How do we be sincere to the data collected? No fudging. That issue becomes very important by the time third. Last year, more research evidence. Look at now, present. Second one, adopt objective, unbiased, and truthful actions in all aspects of the work. Present coherent arguments in support of ethical and moral issues. Actions to address environmental and sustainable development issues. Actions, participate, not just knowledge. Participate in that. Then follow ethical practices in all our matters, especially in university. How do you take issues related to misrepresentation of data, fudging of data, plagiarism, and so on? Look at the value orientation, value-based living increases further. I'll take one more, so which is important for AUD. Next one, please. This is employment-ready skills. Yesterday question came, but we need to focus on that also. And entrepreneurship skills and mindset, which Minister Sisodia talks very often. What does that mean? First year, knowledge and a basket of essential skills. Basket, not just what. Should be a critical thinker, creative thinker, and so on. Then exercise responsibility for the completed assignment. outputs of own work, the quality of that. Take some responsibility in a group work. If you are part of a group, don't say men and IKEA. Responsibility to group work. First year, this can be attended. Second year, now take up job employment relating to a chosen field of study. Exercise self-management within the guidelines provided by the work context. Should be able to do some kind of supervision of work. Either it's a group task, can be supervised that task. That is something. And routine work and non-routine work. Routine is scripted work. Non-routine means on the spot, you have to take a decision. Within sometimes what you call on the spot. I had experience of that kind in my life. One was during my posting in Sudan. I was negotiating with the rebels for a ceasefire agreement. I was going by my helicopter. Then the captain, the pilot saw somebody trying to aim it, shooting the helicopter. About 200 people. Then I asked, do we have permission to land here? He said, we have permission for Daya. I said, what is the coordinate? And the coordinate where we are trying to land was a place called Tibon, no permission. That's why the rebels were shooting, trying to shoot it. He asked me a question. Sir, shall I lift further or should I go down? I was given 3 seconds to make decision. I said, go down. He said, sir, won't they trouble you? I said, if you go up, they will certainly decide that you are a spy of the government. You have come to kill them. You will be shot. So I take the lesser thing, let's go down. Landed, opened the door. I got abused for about 3 minutes, telling that you are spying to shoot us. You had no permission to land here. 3 minutes, I listened to all the abuse, but I smiled. I was having a smiling face. That made them funny. They said, why this person is smiling and not getting angry? They asked a question, sir, where are you from? I said, I am from India. The commander of rebel force says, sir, I studied in Pune University. Indians are good people, so you won't spy. Sir, please do come. Have a cup of coffee. We'll show you where you have to go. A decision of just 3-4 seconds. That is the one. When you supervise during 3rd year, 4th year, non-routine task. Can our students do that? Not scripted, rule-based alone. Can we do it? Sometimes I may have to go out of rules. As an example of that, I broke rules, the UN rules in one country, Ethiopia. They were not being given UN assistance because they did not submit accounts properly. And we had an executive order, don't release any more money. Then came a massive measles breakout. 1.5 million children affected. I was contacted by the government. Can you do something? I said, there is a ban on money giving. I studied for 2 hours. About 8,000 children already died. And I realized if I don't intervene with the vaccination as quickly as possible, maybe 50,000 more will die. I took a decision myself, taking responsibility, released $10 million for vaccinating. 3 days and nights, I myself went with a helicopter with doctors, got it done. 1.5 million children vaccinated in 3 days with a team. But I broke the rule. I released money where I was asked not to release money. So my representative thought, now Ramachandran gone, he would lose no job. He broke the rule. I said, what for I'm here? I'm here to save children's life. If I see they're dying, then I have no business to be here. What will happen to me? At the most, I lose my job. Fair enough, I'll go back to India, I have my job there. And my rep said, are you sure? I said, yes. I'll get the accounts within 1 month, $10 million, not a small money. I got that in 1 month. Then came audit, the UN audit. They found that I broke the rule and released $10 million. They called me. I explained my position. Why did I release money? I had two choices. 50,000 children more die. I get my fat salary, enjoy. Nice climate of Addis Ababa. I said, I'm not keen to do that. He said, do you know you can lose your job? I said, I know. You can do that. I'll go back to my country, I have a job. They came and told my wife, do you know what your husband did? She said, he had told me. He said, ready to be packed up. Then the auditors went back to New York and sent a very nice letter. Ramachandran, no doubt, broke the rule, but he was programming with a human face, save lives of people. And they used the term programming with the human face. Even though I did not follow procedures, it was for a cause. And they said, this must be a lesson for the whole world, that how do you program with a human face? I took the risk. Instead of losing job, I got a promotion. From P5 to D1 level, I got a promotion. So that courage, our students, that is the value orientation. That can we take up that kind of students? That if you find your judgment is correct, go ahead. Like a question was asked to me by late Premier Narasimha Rao ji once. We were in a meeting. I argued for a particular program. He asked me a question. As a professional, you think this must be done? I said, yes. He had the courtesy to tell Ramachandran, I'm not a professional in this matter. If you think it must be done, go ahead and do it. Gave me permission. He appreciated the professional advice. I worked with him twice in my life, at a gap of 17 years. But that is the kind of thing we are looking at. A student ready to be ethically sound. Last one, 4th year, much higher. Exercise, last one I'm talking, exercising supervision in the context of work, having unpredictable change. That's what I did in Ethiopia. And today when people ask me, what was your greatest achievement in your life? I say, what I did in Ethiopia, saved more than 50,000 lives. I said, nothing better than that. But the Chinese would say, no, Rama, you changed our system. And, and what is the advantage? Like, today in China, wherever I go, there will be somebody who worked with me as young boys, as interpreters. They'll connect me to Beijing, just say hello. Quite often our ministers meeting, minister will say, can I have a meeting with the Chinese minister? Embassies would say, oh, we had to write protocol and all. Once when I was in Cape Town, South Africa, the additional secretary told the minister, one can get you a meeting in 5 minutes. He said, who is it? He said, Ramachandran. He said, how? You'll see, he can do it. And I asked him, how many minutes you want a meeting? 10 minutes. I'll talk to minister because, and 5 minutes meeting was arranged. When the meeting started, the first thing he said was, Rama had worked with us for a long time. He changed. our educational scenario worked hard, which minister did not know. That helped me getting access anywhere. I was one of the persons who had access to many things, including their nuclear establishment, space establishment, and so on. That helps what you call relationship. That is it. Exercise supervision in the context of work having unpredictable changes. You don't know what happened next day. Then manage complex technical and professional activities in the 4th year, 4-year degree program. So the learning outcomes, you can see how it works. Skills, entrepreneurial skills. Create a new enterprise, that is entrepreneurial skill. New product, as I mentioned yesterday, from Apple 1 to Apple 13, how we do it? New process. Can you change the process? Like how many tutorials I need to have? How many self-learning hours should I give? Not only classroom teaching, that is change in process. Then change in product. Have I produced a better psychologist, a psychoanalyst, and so on? So these are all part of learning outcomes. I have learning outcomes related to master's program as well. I didn't want to, since time was short today, I didn't want to put it heavy today. Master's first year, what do we expect from our students? Second year, master's 1 year, master's 2 year, doctoral programs, what do you expect? Doctoral, create new approaches, new solutions, new knowledge, that is doctoral program. What new knowledge have we created? And that becomes the learning outcomes for doctoral program. Maybe sometime later, I'll try to send you the slides on that. At master's level, because I took undergrad for one reason, I wanted to show the hierarchy in learning outcomes from 1st year to 4th year. The same competence, communication skills, but difficulty level increases from 1st year to 2nd year to 3rd year to 4th year, to master's, to PhD level, and so on. That is the learning outcomes frame. I'll now stop this stage and get more questions. You can ask anything you want, any question.
Okay, sir, there is a question from Dr. Usha. So I'm just reading that out. In the 4-year BA program, is there an option for a research-based dissertation in humanities programs, such as BA English? How many credits would such a dissertation carry? Would the dissertation count for faculty workload because the faculty will have to spend a significant amount of time guiding research projects of this nature?
Thank you for asking this question. In a 4-year program, what we are now trying to do is, a teacher who is coming out of this should be able to teach a minimum of 2 subject areas. It means 2 majors or 3 majors sometimes. That means the minimum credit requirement for this program will be 30 credits each, because they have to go for masters if they want to. We don't want to block a history person joining to block from masters. So there is a core area of learning, that is the domain expertise. Second, you take minors that along with history and economics, maybe you are good at music. You can have a music teacher also. Why don't you offer that as well? Last year, we are not envisaging, for a very real reason, a big dissertation at the 4th year. Why? There's a reason. A 4-year integrated teacher education program is a dual major dual degree program. One is BA, 1 degree. The second is equivalent to B.Ed. It is not a higher level degree like honors with research, but we will teach them what we call action research. How do we carry out action research during this program in a classroom situation? So therefore, for that, you might read credit apportionment. You might say 4 credits. They might produce a report on the action research they did. So that can be looked at. That you want to produce also a person in 4-year B.Ed program, 2 pedagogical approaches, as I said yesterday, arts integration, sports integration, teaching through sports, teaching through arts, environmental education. What does that mean? Study of environment, study through environment, study for environment. That means environmental protection and so on. They will be also, we are talking a maximum of 160 credits for this program, out of which 60 credits minimum or 90 credits can go to disciplinary areas of studies like history, economics, psychology, and so on. And the remaining can be major, like as I told you yesterday, I had 2 majors, 2 subsidiaries, 3 vocational program, economics, history of science and technology, an excellent course. So now what will happen now for this 4-year program? I hope you know, I'm saying that now. According to policy, the 4-year program will have 4 stages. The same students, not same student doing all. It will be stage specific. Teachers for foundational stage. It will be stage specific. Teachers for preparatory stage, grade 3 to 5. Because there one teacher has to teach many subject areas. The methodology of teaching has to change. Third, teaching at grade 6, 7, 8. Subject oriented. Then we teach 2, 3 subjects. Last, secondary stage, 4 years. Stage 3, we will have vocational orientation, not vocational training per se. So you will have, if you have 100 students cohort for a 4-year undergrad program, if you have facility, you will offer teachers, trained teachers for foundational stage, maybe 25 students, 25 may go for preparatory stage, 25 may go for middle stage, 25 may go for secondary stage. That would be the real approach to the 4-year integrated teacher education program. Once they complete, like me, I was allowed to join Delhi University for my master's program. They must be able to do that as well, so that the vertical mobility of the student is not curtailed. And this is a scenario we will be taking in the case of 4-year undergraduate program. So maximum 160 credits. A 2-year B.Ed program, there is work going on. 80 credits. A 1-year B.Ed program is also proposed. Discussion is going on. What would be, should it be a 2-semester program or should it be a trimester program? Like AUD had the business school, a trimester program. It had difficulties, no doubt. But a 1-year program, we advise a trimester program, a minimum of 80 plus 10 or 80 plus 20, 90 credits, minimum 90 credits. These should be looked at. Therefore, we may not propose a full-fledged dissertation. We'll focus on action research, school-based, classroom-based research, how to have learning enhancement, how to reduce the learning gap, learning deficit, and how do you enhance learning. Please note, I'm not using the word remedial program. I'm using the term learning enhancement. Remediation is a little denigrating. Oh, you are not doing well, so you must undergo remedial program. We are saying you are doing okay, but we need a learning enhancement. Yes, Mr. Guy. Sorry. There will be certain courses called common courses for all stages. What would be common courses? Number one would be 2 languages, English and Hindi, English and Kannada, English and Urdu, and so on. If possible, you can have even 3. The idea is every trainee should be able to teach in the regional language. Like I took Hindi as my second language and not Malayalam because I knew that. Second, a course title, Teacher and Education in the Emerging Indian Society. Who will be our students? Yes, students who are born and brought up in a technology-rich environment, as Madam Vice Chancellor said yesterday. Students who will use technologies which have not been invented so far. We don't know what will happen to mobile phone after 5 years. Students who are likely to enter new jobs, which don't exist now. And therefore, that will be future of work, a course on that. Very important, the policy talks, gender equity, inclusive education for all trainees, for all courses, arts education as a discipline for all, arts integration as a method for all, sports and wellness for all, study of Indian knowledge systems, what Aryabhatta did, what we did in mathematics, like a good work being done by IIT Gandhinagar. I had history of science and technology, where I studied all. There is a book titled, what you call, The Pride of India. Have a look at that. Excellent publication. What were India's achievements those days? Common for all course. These are common courses. Then what you call core courses like history as a major, psychology as a major, and so on. Then vocational program to do at the middle level, common, can have 18 credits course. That would be the teacher training from the core. Then comes methodology of teaching, physics, chemistry, economics, psychology at different levels. That is not common. That is stage specific. How do you deal with a small child? How do you deal with a secondary child? That is stage. Then comes all undergoing curricular area called community engagement and service. Activity will be different. Field-based learning. What is the learning needs of a tribal child, a fisherman folk child, a remote area child? Field-based learning. Then internship, not less than 16 weeks, 3 weeks during the third year, 12 weeks during the fourth year. These are the ingredients of a 4-year integrated undergraduate program. So for my colleagues, there has been demand. Why don't you call this honors program because 4 years? I told them, the year doesn't make higher level program. It is 2 different dual degrees, history, psychology at Delhi University graduate level. Education, Delhi University, B.Ed level. And it will be 3 + 2 years, 5 years, but UGC makes exemption. If you have an integrated program, class timing running from 8:30 to 5 o'clock every day with a half an hour for lunch break, you can reduce 20% of credits. Like if you have 3 + 2, it will be 200 hours of credits. When you have an integrated, you can reduce 20% credits, 160 credits. So 160 credits is the maximum you're talking about. The design, and I must tell my colleague, what we want is, we give a curriculum framework, something like I talked now. I would like to see that Ambedkar University is given the autonomy to design courses. I would like Professor Ghai and her colleagues designing learning outcomes and course design, and not UGC. UGC can prescribe a learning outcome-based approach to curriculum development. Translating that into curriculum design, I think that is Professor Ghai's work or Professor Karthik's, Professor Leo's work and so on. This is what I am pleading with them, that leave it to the universities. But we give them good learning outcomes. That work is going on, will come out, and faculty can design. Let that not be decided by the gatekeeper. And UGC body will become a standard setting body. AICT will become a standard setting body. The Pharmacy Council will become a standard setting body, not a regulator. There will be a separate regulator. Like NAC, there will be now 50 more organizations. NAC will be a super coordinating body. If they want to accredit 40,000 colleges, NAC alone cannot do it. So we will have many more agencies and NAC coordinating that. We are also talking assessment schema cannot be same throughout the country. I think today, former Education Secretary Mr. Thakur wrote an article on that, how can you compare a college in Nagaland with a college in Delhi? Same approach. We must be flexible in that also. So more autonomy to the university and college. That is a hallmark of policy. 2 words, flexibility, autonomy, the third, holistic development. We are looking forward to a day when AUD has full autonomy, what we call academic autonomy. If you want to set up an off-course, off-campus, you don't need to go to UGC. The VC and colleagues can take decision. Then there is administrative autonomy. Academic autonomy, what curricula? Let the decision be here. Based on a framework called National Higher Education Qualification Framework. We give a framework, like the kind of thing I give is a framework. And then partial financial autonomy to begin with. And I always quote how financial autonomy can improve a university. Example is Punjab University, Chandigarh. A few years ago, they were given around 100 to 150 crore rupees and say, you can use it the way you want, but within rules. The Vice Chancellor decided that I would use it for building science faculty. It had its impact today. The Faculty of Science in Punjab University is very good. Spent a little more money, decided by the university itself, not by UGC. That autonomy should be given to the AUD. Luckily, I must tell you one thing, you are lucky. The government did not interfere too much in AUD work. That has been a hallmark of this university. Whatever progress we made is because of that. The government did not interfere. And also funding also has not been a problem. We are now starting a new university in Delhi. They call it the Teacher Education University. The first meeting, I said, I won't be involved in that university if it is only teacher education. I want this to be multidisciplinary university. They listened to me very well, came back and said, yes, go ahead. Even though the emphasis may be on teacher education, it will be a multidisciplinary university. Can offer psychology, can offer sociology. They are allied educational subjects. Can offer economics, economics of education, and so on. And I was given, don't bother about money. You say how many faculty you want, we'll give you. We are working on that now. That is autonomy. And what was my example of this? China's normal university, where I worked 6 years I spent in China, worked lecturing there and all, even though I was with the UN. Now, that university is multidisciplinary, all kinds of computer science and so on. You would not believe it. I say the mathematical department of the university has 84 faculty members. One university. Education has about 80 faculty members. Law has about 62 or 64 faculty members. That is what I thought Delhi should do. A good multidisciplinary university. Because I am propagating AUD to be more multidisciplinary, offering science courses and other areas, stage-wise, phased-wise, not all of together, over the next 10 years. And my ambition is by 2030, AUD gets 10,000 students. Make it more cost effective and so on. Good, that's a good question. Thank you very much.
Actually, sir, there are 4 or 5 more questions. I don't know whether time permits this or not.
No, I have no problem, but
Okay. So I'm just reading one from Dr. Nandini Nayak. Sir, you noted yesterday that AUD must honor diversity and constitutional values. Thank you for this. As teachers, we encounter diversity in our classrooms with every batch of students. Students have diverse abilities, as you know, and the reasons for this are complex. I feel concerned, therefore, that outcomes that we are speaking of are organized around the notion of exemplar graduates. What of the others? How does an outcome-based approach engage with the non-exemplars who might be in the process of engaging with and, let me scroll, sir.
no, I get the question. Maybe
Okay.
I can answer. Yeah. Thank you. Good question. I'll give an Indian example, not a foreign example. The Tata Institute of Social Science, Mumbai. What have they done to address, to honor diversity? Now, before the admission test was conducted, they had an orientation program for the prospective students, 2 weeks program. And because of that program, many disadvantaged category of students entered in general category, not reserved category. They entered then they were tracked first year. Are they able to perform the learning outcomes based curricula? They were given certain learning enhancement program. Again, I'm not using the word remedial program, learning enhancement program. And I checked the data. Many became like others. As a school level, I'll give an example. There is a Vasant Valley School in Vasant Kunj. Our colleague comes from that. I go there once in a while. I was taking it, sometime I go and teach schools for my own purpose. I was watching a class for grade 8 in the school. I got some excellent questions. When I left, I asked, who are they? They told me they are from the slums here. They joined the school, grade 1, in 7 years. They absolutely did so well and became as good as anyone. Therefore, my submission would be, don't say exemplar and non-exemplar. All are exemplar, provided we provide the learning conditions. AUD, I would suggest, can we have an orientation program before our admission test to the government schools in NCR to orient them? It's also branding AUD, that we want social justice to be a branding approach. Then have a 1-week orientation. Then when they take the test and join, a 4 weeks learning enhancement program. If they don't speak the language of medium, can we enhance that? That will bring them on par with exemplars. So AUD, a university like AUD, should aim at, don't say, oh, you are a Buddhu student, you can't learn. No, everyone can learn if proper learning conditions are created. In fact, that is the principle of mastery learning. Again, Benjamin S. Bloom's idea coming out. What did we say in the 60s? There are bright learners and there are dull learners. Bright and dull. When Bloom's taxonomy came, it got changed. It is learning outcome based, as I discussed earlier. There are fast learners and there are slow learners. The slow learners may be what you mentioned, non-exemplar. They can become fast learners as well. 1990s, the theory came when taxonomy was being revised. Given appropriate learning conditions, most students, maybe over 80%, 90% students, can attain 80% of learning outcomes. I'm not talking mark, learning outcomes. I think that will be the principle of AUD. Can we create learning conditions, learning experiences? Equality based, not equal. Don't say equal opportunity, no. I would like to have equitable opportunity. What does that mean? A child with a disability, a student with disability, equal doesn't make sense. Equitable. Can we have more assistive devices to make that person equitable, not equal? So can AUD provide equitable learning opportunities? That doesn't mean equal. So equitable in terms of gender, equitable in terms of disability orientation, so on. And can we create a center with assistive devices so that, as I indicated, what I saw in Berkeley can be seen here also. They all attain the learning outcomes defined by AUD. So what we should now do is 1 or 2 schools typically design a program. Maybe a new program like public health can be the beginning, or an upcoming program like public policy can be a good beginning, or maybe how do we make vocationalization of education? Note this word, vocationalization of education, not just vocational education. What do you mean by vocationalization of education? Not the one like in Karambura. Vocationalization means integration of vocational education as an integral part of our undergrad program on this campus. History major, but a vocational program along with that as an integral program. Sociology major, a vocational program with that. It means a vocational education program offered in Karambura becomes an integral part of undergrad program. That is what we call vocationalization of education. My desire is to see that. Thank you very much for asking this question. And I think, otherwise you would have missed it. Thank you. Any more?
Sir, there are many questions, but time does not permit. So I have requested the faculty members. So since the time is not there, we may not take more questions. Yeah, we will send copy paste and all send the questions to you. Yeah. Sure. Well, thank you.
So, thank you very much, Professor Ramachandran, for very extensive and very elaborated discussion on undergrad program revamping, which we are going to initiate very soon. I think today's session was a kind of an hand-holding exercise for all 1, 2, 3, and 4 year, what all need to be done. I think with the help of today's discussion, we can at least start this discussing among faculty groups that how we are going to visualize your undergrad program. And we need to sit together again for whether some of the undergrad programs we should plan for 4 years, and which 4-year programs are more, you can say, from market-oriented vocationalization, where we can bring in vocational component, like you discussed about psychology and some of the vocational programs, management and some of the vocational programs. So we'll definitely explore all these opportunities. And with the help of this framework, LOCF framework, we'll continue these exercises, and we'll organize many such workshops in future also, because our timeline is now set that we are supposed to have a very detailed plan for next year. So I'm sure with all the faculty members, this is just a beginning, but continuous engagement will be needed, and at different forums, at your school level, at university level, at department level, at area level, we should start discussing about it. So we have our Honorable Vice Chancellor, ma'am, with us, and I request few words from her. Ma'am, please. Just.
Good morning to all of you. I hope we have had the deliberations and understood how LOCF needs to be implemented. As I said, that the futuristic education is what our nation needs, and also the community-based engagement with the people around is very important. Our education becomes relevant only and only when we look at the problems around us in our own community, in our own state, in our own district, in our own areas where we function from. So as a social science university, I think we should pick up the leadership role in terms of conceptualizing, creating, and organizing this kind of framework so that others can follow the lead. I hope we don't stop here, and we continue having more number of workshops specific to each and every component of its implementation part. And next time when we organize one such program, I would also want the deans to have their consultations at school level for the programs they would like to offer in the new framework. A little structuring at your end, When I say little structuring, I only want that the idea about how would you be taking up your school, in which direction would you like them to go in terms of the integrated programs, maybe in the areas of research, maybe UG extended to integrated program, PG extended to a PhD program. So while you have already worked on that, we can have the discussion on each and every program here while we come here along with the workshop based. So that the inputs can come from the experts and more number of people can also be involved in each. We can have the panel of experts coming and discussing on the same. So next time we can do that too. With this note, I think every time Professor Ramachandran is there in any meeting, including our academic council meeting, his words of wisdom and his blessing to the AUD fraternity and students has always been there. I hope you all know that he does not charge any fee or any honorarium from AUD. So this itself shows that the kind of emotional connect he has with all of us. So on behalf of all of us, sir, we extend our gratitude to you and thank you so much for being there.
So as a token of appreciation and our gratitude, I request Honorable Vice Chancellor, ma'am. Thank you so much, sir. So with this, thank you very much, all the faculty members, those who have joined online. There are a lot many questions which we couldn't answer right now, but please send us those mails so that we can take care of those questions and those queries in our future endeavor. And once again, thank you for your patience, learning and joining the workshop for 2 days. Look forward to your participation in future programs as well. Thank you very much. With this, we close the program. Thank you.